Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Retirement for Retirement podcast. I am your host, Christopher Story, and I have Misty with me today, and we're going to talk about surviving what, Misty?
2020.
That's right, surviving 2020. And we're going to do it from our perspective of owning a business and, having real estate and what we did. So let's talk about it like this. So, you know, every every business is as business owners, we spend a lot of time busting our behind to grow it.
Day in and day out.
Yeah, we even lose time with our kids, right?
Definitely.
We lost a lot, but but you know, if you don't know this right now, and this is why I like to start, is we own a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy. So I have been doing Jiu-Jitsu for a very long time. We opened the school in 2008, and so we're plugging along, and then of course 2020 hits, and what happens?
The world shuts
We lost 60% of our
down.
business like that. It was so fast. And I remember sitting back and, we were busting our butt. The business had grown to a large degree that, we were, I wouldn't say, we were making some of the most we've ever made in the business. We had built the business and we grew it to the biggest it had been. We were bringing on staff, and then the world shut down and all the staff had to go. And we lost 60% of our students. So I remember sitting back with Misty on the porch, right? We're just like hanging out, drinking coffee. We're like, well, let's enjoy this time. And we're thinking to ourselves, what the hell just happened? And what are we going to do next?
What's our next step?
Yeah. So, what's the next step? Well, that's 2020, right? Of course, hindsight's 2020. But with that being 2020, we're now in 2022 as we're recording this. Things have changed. But prior to that, we actually did, and this is what this is about. It's more about padding. It's not saying surviving 2020, but it's more about padding yourself. And I call it padding. Some people call it protecting, but padding yourself. So
Planning.
planning, yeah. What we ended up doing was prior to that, as we were building the business, we actually went and we were very quiet about it. We didn't tell anybody. We just quietly did what we were doing. And we had friends that never even knew it. I had like really close friends that knew, but for the most part, a lot of our other martial arts academy owners had no idea that we were real estate investors. We never talked about it. In fact, our students didn't even know. We didn't want anyone knowing. We thought people would look at us and be like, that's the evil real estate investor. Or for me, I was like, they're going to think I make a crap ton of money and I'm just you. But that really wasn't the case, right?
Correct.
So, you know, what we did was I remember one time I was leaving the house and I was driving to the school, and we didn't have kids. Misty and I, it was still just her and I. And I was driving to school, and I remember thinking to myself, someone had just called to cancel. I remember that. I hated that feeling. I'm busting my butt, trying to, bring in new students. I love teaching teaching these kids, teaching the adult classes, and someone calls to cancel, and it's just like it's like every time it's just you get cut deep. You're like, all my time, just there it goes. Like this person, man, there was a lot of time in that person. It's gone. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, I've always wanted to do real estate. Why don't I start replacing these students with houses? Right? Like, who's going to think that, right? Replace students with houses. But it wasn't because I didn't like the students. It was because in my mind at that time, we were charging, yeah, from all of my martial arts friends that are listening to this, we were charging $100 a month. And by the way, when I started jiu-jitsu, it was $60 a month back 20 something plus years ago. So just kind of lets you know things aren't what they were. But at that time, we were charging $100 a month, right? So if I was able to replace a student, how many students, if you do the math, like $100 a month, it takes you, how many students does it take you to make $1,000? It's 10 students, right? You got to enroll 10 new students to make $1,000. Well, obviously rental rates are not what they are more now than what they are then. But to make $1,000, you just needed one house. That was it. All you needed was one house. So we were replacing students with houses. So instead of having to hustle my behind off to get this person to pay 100, this person to pay 100, and this person to stick around, these people to stick around, and do the whole dog and pony show dance.
On a daily basis.
Right. It was a grind, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. And even not $100 whether it was 100 or $200 a month, it didn't matter. It was still we were grinding it all the time, constantly, constantly. I mean, it doesn't stop. The wheel doesn't stop. And so we thought, well, what if we just replace them with houses? And, now I don't have to grind as hard to get, if I lose a student, was it really that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things because I have a house that is, getting paid for by somebody else. And so we would replace those things. So, that was our thought process essentially was to say, let's replace these students with the houses. And we did all that before 2020 hit, right? Before 2020 hit, we patted ourselves up, never knowing that the world was going to stop over, whatever caused it, never knowing that all this stuff was going to happen. We just knew that one day we wanted to retire. And retire wasn't like, I want to quit. I'm still in shape. I still like to compete and do all these things, but it was to have some freedom.
Yeah. Being self-employed, you gotta set yourself up.
Yeah. Because otherwise, if you don't, I mean, you're going to
You're in
be
trouble.
all day. You're going to be grinding all the time, right? So, and then 2020 hit. We lost 60% of the students. And, we just sat back and thought, man, we a lot of work for nothing. That's how we felt. But the one thing that I tell everyone that when we talk about investing was great was our rental properties were perfectly fine. And we actually got to spend what would look like retirement for us in 2020. We got to kind of get a preview of it. By the way, it was kind of boring in terms of no,
We did get to spend a lot of time with the family.
we did, we did. When I say boring, I got to be active. I can't be. It's
It was slower
it
paced
was
for
slower
you.
paced. Yeah, it was really slower paced. So, but yeah, it was slower paced. But I like it. I don't want to be slow paced. So, but it was nice. We had to spend time with the kids. Man, had we not patted ourselves, I know you and I would have been scrambling. Like we
Mhm.
would have been wigging out and whatever we got to do next. So let's fast forward to that. So we 2020 hits, we patted ourselves. We got to spend that 2020, feeling a little bit of retirement, what it'd be like. And then of course we, changed some directions as well. Obviously now I own a brokerage. Misty's been doing property management for some time, but we didn't tell anybody. And that's kind of what my mission here is with, with the podcast and what we do is we didn't tell anybody, hey, this is what you should do. But I remember sitting at a business conference in 20 was it 2019?
I think so.
Was it 20 years? Yeah. Well, we were in Florida. Yep, we were
I
in
think it was
Florida.
the middle of 2019.
Yeah. And we were busting our butt, building the business. We were at a martial arts business conference and we had they had asked, we went with a close friend of mine, training jiu-jitsu training partner of mine, and he was there with us and they go around the room and they said, "Hey, raise your hand at something you can help everybody in the room with." And I remember looking and I was like, everyone's like, "I do marketing, I can do leads, I can do this, I can do that." And I was like, nobody said real estate. And I never told anybody. We were so quiet. We were afraid we're going to get looked at like we're the weirdos and we're the people who, we're the evil landlords that make a lot of money. And, but we don't, but, I wear like the same shirt and my closet looks like Charlie Brown. Like Misty will tell you, right? There's Charlie Brown in my closet, but we were worried of what people would think of us if we revealed that we were sitting on this amount of houses or this amount of money as as investors. We thought we'd get looked at funny, and no one in the room had said that they did real estate. And I thought, man, these guys are crazy. They're busting their butt, and they've never thought about buying a rental property or even like patting themselves.
Or even owning the property that they teach martial arts out of.
Nobody knew it.
A
Right?
lot of them rented.
They all were renting. We owned. We didn't rent. And we got very lucky. We had some help with that too. That's another story for another day. But but yeah, but we own the property that we're teaching the academy or that the academy is out of. So anyhow, I raised my hand. I raised it and I was like, "Hey, I can help with, real estate investing." And I thought, no one's gonna even ask me. Who's gonna ask that? But I had people come up to me and ask me a little bit later. But one of the individuals was my close friend. We're sitting down. He's, having a little drink and we're hanging out, talking in a little mixer at the end of the evening. And he sits back and he says, "Tell me about this real estate stuff you've been holding out on." I was like, "Huh," and he's 10 years my senior, right? He's 10 years my senior. He's known me since I was 16. He was 26 when we met. And I look and I'm like, "I can help this dude." I was like, okay. So we sat down and Misty and I proceeded to break down everything we had done within, all those years from 2010 to 2019 and what we had done with our real estate investing. And we never told anybody. We had never, it was like, it wasn't scary. It was exciting. Like I had a fun time. Um, I don't know how much he remembers from some of the drinks, but but he remembers because after we explained, we talked about, what we did and we said, "Hey, look, you can, you know, you can move out of your current house, you can cash out, refinance it, you can use that money to buy another property or, buy another home to live in and then keep that one." Uh, and he was kind of like, I don't want to say dumbfounded, but like never thought about it. Never thought that was something that's
It's
possible.
just natural for everybody when they want to move, they sell their house, right?
Yeah. That's what we know, right?
It's what everybody does.
But little did real estate investors know, never sell. No, there's always a reason to sell. There's always a reason to hold. So, but yeah, you're right. He didn't think about it. It's not natural. So most people don't. They don't think that's what we should do. So we explained that process. Misty broke it down. This is what we do. This is how we cashed out. This is what you can do. He cashed out, and actually, when we got home from the conference,
He called a lender.
he called he called a lender. He cashed
Mhm.
out. He refied his house. He bought another house. He moved in, he did everyone's different. He moved into the house. He's a hardworking individual. He deserved to get a house that he liked. I think he'd been in that particular house since he moved to Texas, been there a long time, and he was just ready to move and get the house that he deserved because he's
Upgrade.
upgrade. He's a successful business owner, successful martial arts academy, jiu-jitsu academy, successful what he does. And so he decided to cash out, refinance, get a little upgrade house, and he kept that house. Well, we actually helped him buy his third house uh, in 2021. Yeah,
Yep.
it started 2020, the pandemic. But yeah, it took a while. That was a whole nother deal. But, the idea of just introducing that, and that's really what it was. We just, you know, patting yourselves. So if you have a job and you are, you won't be there forever. We all won't be there forever. You got to pad yourself. I call it padding, but you got to protect yourself to where if next time they release the zombies and all got to run, at least your tenants are going to pay rent. They're locked up in their house, something of that nature. So padding yourself. But, you know, I really wanted to share that story. I think that's something that Misty and I have done over the years. And I hope that can resonate with some individuals out there that, you guys to pad yourself up and be ready for that next thing so that when the ball drops or the zombies are released or, you know, I don't know, we have Y230. I'm not sure what happens, that you'll be ready for it. We were ready for it. And never did we think we should be ready for that, but we were ready for it because of that. So, and that's really what we want to share on the podcast is getting ready for that stuff if you're not ready. But
Another aspect is like if you have a business and you need a space, buy a space big enough for you and to have some tenants.
yeah, oh, we're big advocates of that. Always buy bigger, don't buy smaller. Don't buy just what you need, you know. Buy something. Absolutely, buy something bigger.
Can you get free rent?
Free rent. I love me some free rent, by the way. So let's run into some quick strategies, Misty, for anybody that's listening to this and things that they can do. So, strategy number one, what is it, Misty?
Learn as much as possible.
right? Soak it in, right? There's so many avenues of real estate investing that you can learn between, you know,
Podcast.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I was gonna say avenues of investing. Yeah, podcast definitely. But investing as far as, buy, hold, notes,
Hmm.
fix, flip, you got to know as much as you can. So number one is learn as much as possible.
Education.
Education is huge. What's number two, Misty?
Buy and hold.
Buy and hold. Buy and hold because real estate investing is forgiving for the long term investor, right?
It is.
I know you and I went through when we purchased one property, we were like, this is top of market. And we were
Very slim margins.
very slim margins. We're talking like we made like less than $100 on that one.
You might could eat dinner at Taco Bueno
Yeah,
time or two a month.
yeah. If you guys didn't know, Misty prior, when we met, she loved Taco Bueno. That's why she uses it. But yeah, you're right. It was very slim
Mhm.
margins. That was a slim. But when we went to go raise rent, when it came time, margins weren't so slim. It became a really good property.
Mhm.
But we bought it. We didn't have to fix it up. It was turnkey,
Yep.
pretty much.
Move in
And
ready.
yeah, I was moving ready. I think that was the fastest sign we'd ever put up. We bought it and we're like, get the sign up, Misty. And but we were buying what was considered top of market, and we
Mhm.
thought, but at the same time, like I've mentioned before, I was like Batman with money in my hand, running around with a bomb, trying to throw it somewhere, and we just put it here. Like, let's just put it there, and it's forgiving, because we weren't trying to make a quick profit off of it. So that
Mhm.
long term investor, buy and hold, it's just forgiving for the long term.
And
Long
now with
term.
appreciation.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah, especially now for sure. Number three, Misty.
Start by moving out of your current home and rent out your old one.
Yep. That is a way to start. If you're like, I don't know what to do to get started. If you want to make a lateral movement, maybe you just don't like where you live, we're not telling you to go upgrade. Don't get that twisted and think, let's go get an upgrade. But if you maybe you just don't, you want to move a different area, you can keep your current home and move to a lateral movement to an area that you like and rent it out. And you can get a taste of whether or not you're the landlord type.
Yep. That's how we got started.
Yeah, that's it. We kept Misty's first home.
Yep. We wanted to move to an area with a better school district to start a family.
Yeah, yeah, and we did. And then she drugged me back. No, I'm joking. She didn't drag me back. I drug her back. And we still moved the kids to a better school district. So, no, but that was it. We got started that way. And I
Mhm.
think that's where we thought, man, this is pretty simple. I think I can do this. So, that's exactly it. So, you just move, don't sell. And if you're not a landlord, you can always sell it on a note. But that's a whole nother subject. Right.
Mhm.
So, you'll find out for sure. So what's the next one? What's number four, Misty?
Buy a 2 to 4 unit property where you live in one portion of it and rent out the rest.
Yep, that's it. It's a little bit of a house hack version. There's different ways to house hack, but that's one you can do. It can give you free rent. You can learn to be a landlord on that. You can even hire a property management company so that no one knows you own the joint, right?
Yep.
They just they pay you, but you're getting free rent. And then of course when you move out, now it's even better cash flow. And a little tip for all you veterans out there: what do veterans get, Misty?
0 down.
0% down. You can get a property that is 1 to 4, uh, you know, or 2 to 4 units. I say 1 to 4 because single family as well. It could be a single family duplex, triplex, fourplex, and you can get that for 0% down and live in it, and then eventually move out. And you get to reuse that later on. That same 0%. I should have went to the military. I didn't know that existed, but I surely would have had to give some service for my country. I had no idea. But if
But
you
even if you're not in the military, you still qualify for owner occupant rates.
right,
So maybe not so much right now with the current market.
there are occupant rates, but they're just not the ones you're
Yes.
thinking of.
But like earlier or late last year when it was down to like 2 and 3% for owner occupant
Mm-hmm.
loans. Mm.
Amen. Say someone amen. Give me an amen for that. Yeah. And you live in that, right? You live in a fourplex, and you might end up by the time you're done, you move out, you can end up with a $1,000 free cash flow on something
Mhm.
if you are living there long enough or whatever you decide to do with it, or hop from property to property. And then number 5, what is number 5, Misty? This is that we hear this from our real estate investor friends. We hear this from people we interview on the podcast. This is the number one. It's number 5, but it's the number one thing. What is it?
Take action.
You have got to be an action taker. I've watched too many people spend so much money on things, on how to
Educating.
that if you work or if you yeah educate yourself to the point that they take no action. Got to take action, and what you'll find is that when you do that, things will change, and you'll start to see uh, you'll start seeing that momentum, and that's where it grows. But if you just sit on the sidelines and watch, you know it's never going to happen. I don't care how knowledgeable you are. It's funny. I'll tell a story. A quick jujitsu story here. That we had this guy that, and for my my jujitsu listeners out there, we had this gentleman who my coach called him hypotheses because he would sit on the side of the mat and he would never actually roll. Like he would never like while we're training and actually like trying to choke each other and hold each other down and you know what I mean, like trying to beat each other. This dude would sit on the side of the mat and he would coach and he would tell all the hypotheses of what you should do. So we call them hypotheses. Hypotheses, if you're out there listening, I'm sorry, buddy. We're talking about you. I don't know his real name. I just know him as Hypotheses. I could bypass him on the street and have no idea. But I know if I asked my jujitsu coach, hey, do you remember Hypotheses? He would be like, I remember Hypotheses because Hypotheses never took action. He just
Mhm.
sat around and made hypotheses. Meanwhile, we're trying to choke each other, So um, don't be Hypotheses. Don't do that. Take action and go get it. So anything you want to add to that, Misty?
I agree with that. We see that a lot in our DFW REI club and other things that we go to.
Hmm.
People ask a lot of questions and want to get involved, and then just kind of sit on the sidelines, and eventually they stop coming.
They burn out. I remember Robin and Cindy made a joke. They're like, we start at the same time as two other individuals, and they're like, who's gonna get the first house? Like off market property. By the way, we got the off market property. We took action. That was it. It's not that the individuals weren't smart, just they stopped coming and we just continued to keep showing up. That's it. So show up, pay attention, ask questions, give it 110%, don't quit. You'll make it happen. So, well, that is surviving 2020. Pad yourselves, guys. Don't wait. You're never too old or never too young to start. The sooner you start, the better. You'll pad yourself up. You'll be ready. It might take you time. Depends on how quick or slow you want to, how fast or slow you want to go. But you guys can survive the next one. Hopefully, we won't have another 2020. But if we have it, you'll be able to survive it because you pad yourself up. Until next time, guys. If you guys aren't a part of the our Facebook group, Real Estate Investing for Retirement, I highly encourage you to jump on there, continue the conversation. You can ask questions and, of course, reach out to Misty and I as well. If you have any questions, we'd love to answer. But until next time, guys, Misty and I will catch you later.